What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. Another week here, Bruce, to catch up on what's coming this weekend. NFL. There's some college bowl games. There's some NBA. There's some hot stuff, but no UFC this week. So I know you're crying inside, right, man?
No, well, you know what? It's almost Christmas. So let's
True.
just take a little time off from it. We had a great week last week.
Yeah.
We did great on the pod.
Yes.
Pod
You're on
picks
a
are on
pod
fire.
hot streak right now. Yeah.
If you're one of the 500 people watching this every week, you are raking.
Yeah. I think you've hit 4 straight and a couple of dogs in there too. Submission props.
Yeah. Plus 350 if you got it on the pod. You got the submission from Tajir Ulanbekov.
Yeah.
I told you, nobody wants to watch Cody Durden just hold you in position.
That was clean. You got him clean.
Unless you're Cody Durden. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was sweet. And then, so no UFC this week, but we do have NFL Week 16, and there's a bunch of interesting spots. So we're going to focus this episode on NFL and cover those spots for you guys for, because we basically have some really good data on a couple of these games. There's a lot of games that are kind of meaningless, but there's still a bunch of teams that are in playoff hunts. And we'll start with, oh man, what a matchup this is. The Bengals.
It's the Cody Durden.
This is
the Cody Durden of NFL Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the Bengals heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. This is their second time meeting this year. First game, the Steelers actually won. Little context around that, though, was Jake Browning's first start. So maybe some rust there. They only put up 10 points. The Steelers won a low-scoring game, 16-10. Since then, Browning has been awesome. They've won 3 in a row. They're going for 4 in a row. But this will be his first start on the road in a divisional game, which can sometimes be a tricky spot. And I think that's what makes this game interesting, because the Steelers look horrible right now. They're spiraling, out of the playoff race. And, they lose this game, they're essentially done. Season's essentially over. And
now, before you go, can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
Because I hate to poke my Jets fandom in here, but is Jake Browning good, or does Cincinnati just have an excellent coaching staff? How come Jake Browning can come in and start lighting things up, and I can't get 100 yards?
Yeah.
Out of my guys. I got Trevor Siemian out here.
Yeah.
I just throwing it away. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a coaching staff? Do you think Browning is a legit guy? There's a future in the league. What do you think?
I think it's a combination of coaching, weapons also. Outside of Garrett Wilson,
got some weapons.
What do we really have, outside of him? And Breece Hall is good, but there's only so much a running back can do. You need weapons to throw the ball to. So he's got better. Yeah. He's got a better receiving core. Certainly better coaching. I think for sure.
Offensive line's still garbage.
Yeah, offensive line still stinks. I think for sure a part of it is that he's just right now balling out, and I don't know how long that continues. We seem to see this a lot over the last few years. Quarterback gets hurt, backup comes in. It actually creates betting value on that team, because no one has tape on this guy and he's got nothing to lose. He's looking to prove himself. But then after 2-3 games, everyone catches up, right? NFL, not for long, right? Everyone catches up and they go back to the shitter. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It's been 3 games already. He's looked really good. And he was a good college player at Washington, but we could say the same thing about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was a great college player. It's you could say this about a lot of guys.
He was excellent.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. I think part of it is just him stepping up. And honestly, part of it is, I think, who you play behind, him playing behind Burrow for a bit. Maybe that changes things too. Zach Wilson didn't have anyone like that. We were hoping to have that this year with Rodgers, and it didn't work out. But I think that's a part of it too, to be honest, is the other quarterback, the quarterback room, essentially, who you surround yourself with, even though Burrow's hurt, he can help you in a ton of ways. So I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back into the picks. But
it is an interesting spot.
My frustrated, frustrated fandom.
Yeah. Yeah. So since he's still very much in the thick of it, Pittsburgh spiraling out. but this is like historically the spots where the Steelers pull off these wins that you don't expect. You know, I like take you back earlier this season when the Ravens came in to Pittsburgh, and the Ravens were clobbering everybody, and they were only laying 4 points, and they lost outright. Like the Steelers beat them outright on a last second touchdown. So, I mean, these are kind of like the Mike Tomlin like defining moments here. Is like when he gets everybody to give every ounce of their energy in these spots. And we can rattle off the stats. He's 8-1-1 against the spread as a home divisional dog in his career. I mean, it's like essentially
not many times he's a home divisional dog.
Exactly.
That's a long career to only have 10 games as a home divisional dog
at home. Yeah, and then as a divisional dog in general, he's 23-9 against the spread. That's 72% just playing AFC North, the AFC North when the Steelers are listed as an underdog. And then the other thing that maybe, and you can maybe speak to this too, the matchup here, kind of like the Steelers' offense has changed a little bit. You know, they fire Matt Canada, and then Warren kind of like pops up as, I don't know if he's the lead back, but he's definitely performing better than Najee. And as a result, over the last I think it's 30 days, they're top 10 in rushing over the last 30 days. And that's the one thing that Cincinnati's defense has struggled with for the last 2 years, has been defending the rush. So that could open up some doors for them offensively. You know, maybe break some big plays on the ground and get going a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, mostly, I think a lot of that is just not having a trust in whoever you have behind center right now. Yeah. Is the reason why that, you know, you're giving Najee 15 plus touches and you're giving Warren 15 plus touches. Yep. I don't think Najee needs 15 plus touches in this offense, but you know, when you have a guy like, who's it going to be this week? Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm giving. I'm running the ball 35, 40 times with Mason Rudolph. Like we talk about a guy you have enough tape on. Like we have enough tape on Mason Rudolph
for sure,
and he's not the guy. Yeah. So, you know, he's just as actually, you know, if you put Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky, if you put any of those guys behind center and show me blank tape with their number scrub, might be the same guy. I don't know.
It's an awful QB room. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's
talk about guys who aren't helping each other. Those guys,
it's terrible. I mean, even Pickett is not
those
great
guys
to begin with.
Fucking. Those guys are crushing, smearing off ices in that QB room. Just
there's not much going on. I don't know.
No,
even when they had Pickett, their offense was pretty dormant. I mean. Aside from honestly, a couple of fourth quarter comebacks.
You could throw Kenny Pickett in there.
Yeah, that's
Jeff.
what I'm saying.
You could throw Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky. Have we ever seen them in the same place at the same time? I don't know. It might be the same guy. You know?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has a problem. They have all, you know, 72 rated Madden quarterbacks on their depth chart right now. So I'd be running the ball 35 times a game too if I was Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the key. If they can get success on the ground, and then get that into Cincy territory, they're going to have some chances, right? And then it's going to come down though mainly to their defense. How they does Browning take a step back finally? These are always tough spots on the road. Like look at what you saw last week: the Falcons on the road in Carolina, right? And just because it's a divisional game, that was they lost, and from beginning to end, that was just a brutal game. Like tough,
brutal,
and a lot of more times than not, that's how these divisional games go late in the season. It's just like, all right, we played you already. We know what you're going to come in here and try to do, and you know what we're going to do. And it's just like whoever's going to will it, it's going to be a battle of wills, and so I could see the Steelers winning this with defense and with maybe Browning taking a step back. I don't think they're going to explode for a bunch of points. If they do win this game, I think it's low scoring, but all of the it's like one of the mainly we look at situational angles and data. Data is a huge thing when we look at all the data. Will tell you, all of it. There's not we'll tell you to bet on Pittsburgh in this spot.
Yeah.
So home dog late in the season, maybe showing some value here in the divisions, and this is it. This is really it for their season. Since he could lose and still be in it, this is it for Pittsburgh. They lose, they're essentially out. So. Interesting. My lean on this game would be Steelers +2. Don't know if I'm going to bet it yet, but that's kind of the interesting spot there in that one. And that's a Saturday game too, by the way. And the last thing I'll say is that these Saturday games are fucking weird. They tend to be weird.
Yeah.
So if there's a time where you say this would happen, it would be on a freaking Saturday. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I yucked over the Steelers QB room, I think, if I'm betting this, I'm going with the Steelers. I think all of the AFC North divisional dog plays have been beautiful the entire season.
Yeah.
So I would totally go with the Steelers on this and just feel disgusting. I probably won't watch the game.
Yeah, I didn't mention that one, right? Let me tell you. Thank you for reminding me. Last 5 years, any team in the AFC North, just betting any AFC North underdog, you're over 80% against the spread. So
it's crazy.
That that might make it worth a play on its own. So and you got a good coach. You got a decent defense. It's just I think they're gonna have to win that game with defense and with maybe some timely field goals.
Yeah, and shout out to the Bengals for totally ruining my fantasy season and also still being in the playoff hunt. I don't know if you accomplished both. I don't know how Joe Burrow can single-handedly sink my entire season, and also they're going to be a playoff team. So it's like kudos to you for strategically ruining my personal football life while keeping yours intact.
It's impressive.
So,
pretty impressive.
All
right, so we're aligned on that game. How about next up? You want to talk about Battle of the Frauds, as I call it?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
This is the Cowboys Dolphins game. Battle of the fraudulent teams. You could throw Philly in there too after they broke my heart on Monday night.
Holy cow, man! Has there been a team? I think we jinxed them because we talked about it. We were like, listen, they've won so many close games, right, throughout the season. And then I said, hey, Jeff, who's that remind you of from last year?
Yeah,
the Vikings. Yep. Right, and the Vikings took until the playoffs to show their true colors, but it seems like the Eagles started that party a little bit earlier, and now they're going into the playoffs. Right, and then, but you may not get your edge in the playoffs now, Jeff. Because correct.
No, you're right.
The Vikings, you got that edge going into the playoffs with the Giants.
Yep.
Because you were like, listen, I know whoever they play, they're going to lose to, and now the Eagles have already kind of shown you their stripes early, so you may not get that value coming in. But Cowboys and Dolphins, fraudulent. How many wins do the Dolphins have against a team that's over 500?
0. They have donut.
0.
Donut wins.
How many do the Cowboys have?
Oh, they've beaten teams above 500. The Cowboys are undefeated at home. The Cowboys Cowboys issues, they haven't beat anybody good on the road. That's their problem.
But how many teams? But let's talk about how many teams did they beat over 500 in total?
Oh, the Cowboys?
I know they have. Yeah, I know they have beat some teams over 500.
Let's take a look at their schedule. I'll pull it up. So they're
not
both
a
10
whole
and 4,
lot,
which is makes for a good game. But let's take a look. So they beat the Giants and then the Jets to start their season, and then the Cardinals. Oh, sorry. Then they lost. Then they lost to the Cardinals. Sorry.
Right. Then that's 3 teams below.
Yeah. Then they beat the Pats. Then they got killed by the Niners. They beat the Chargers on the road. That's their one decent road win.
Yeah. So I haven't seen a above 500 team yet.
Not yet. Yeah. They beat the Rams at home, which the Rams are just got to 500. So,
doesn't count. Not over.
Yeah, lost at Philly. Beat the Giants. Beat the Panthers. Beat the Commanders. You might be right.
Keep going.
Beat the Seahawks. Are they 5? They're 5. Are they 7-7? The Seahawks, I think.
They're 6 and they're
7-7.
They are. Yeah.
Okay. Then they beat the Eagles, and then they lost to Buffalo. So they have one. They have one, and it's Philly.
So exactly, who's falling apart? So if you look at these guys, there's one win between 2 teams in
crazy.
Week what are we? Week 16?
16. Yeah. That was worse than I thought. I'll be honest. I didn't go through the Cowboys schedule, and I thought they both. I was like, they beat some teams. They haven't beat anybody.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They didn't beat anybody, Jeff. So you got one win above 500 between 2 teams in Week 16.
And they beat the Rams without Stafford. So
talk about scheduling, man. It's like we may be looking at value on these guys going in, going into the playoffs.
Yeah, this is crazy. So. Yeah, and So yeah, wow, that's pretty bad. So and this is going to be, by the way, that's pretty bad. This is the Cowboys'
Yeah.
second road game in a row too. They just lost at Buffalo. That was our big one last week. Now they go to Miami. I mean, I was gonna say that that I thought Miami had the edge in this spot. Now I like it even more after we just look, because I was like on the fence about it. And the spread is a pick, right? The Cowboys are +1. But man, that is worse than I thought. They can't beat anybody. Their one
No.
big win is a home win over the Eagles. The Cowboys are 7-0 at home, but other than the Eagles, the other 6 teams are 500 or worse teams. So yeah,
And the Eagles are playing like a 500
the
or
Eagles
worse
are playing
team right
pretty
now.
poorly right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
So
Yeah, wow, that's
these
pretty
guys
crazy.
are.
One thing I did want to
These
mention
two.
is, I mean, that's insane. But I wanted to mention the total. It's set at 50, right? And like I could see. I don't know about you, but this comes in as like Dak and Tua and all the weapons, and I think Tyreek's going to play. I think he's back.
Okay.
And everyone's expecting a shootout. I could see this game being one of those games where the defenses show up. I just could feel it. Like the Cowboys on the road, they struggle to score on the road, even though it's decent weather. And like I could just see this being one of those games. It's like 24-21, and it sneaks under, like a sneaky under.
Yeah.
Where teams maybe like they go cold in the second half or something like that, and it buckles down and it becomes really tight. I guess
You don't know, and you don't know the health of Tyreek
What's
in
that?
there. You don't know the health of Tyreek either.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, even if he plays, he might
may
not be
be
100%.
active, but
Yeah, exactly. And
So
Dallas already has, like per the metrics, a top 5 defense. And then Miami started off the season really poorly on defense, but they've picked it up. Like over the last month, they've been. I mean, it hasn't been the stiffest competition, but they've been playing some good defense. And they come off of the shutout against the Jets. So, I could see this being one of those sneaky underplays if you don't love a side.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I I think Tyreek is playing one. I mean, listen, he has over 1,500 yards right now.
That's crazy.
So, with a few games left, I think he's going for it. I don't know if he'll get it. He's going to need some big games to get there. But so who knows how healthy he is? He's a gamer. He wants to get out there and play. But I agree that this can definitely go under. I mean, what are the rest of the lines looking like this week? Over unders. Is that the highest total this week?
That's the highest total, yeah. And I can tell you that totals this year that have been listed at 50 or higher are actually hitting at a high rate to the under. So it's going contrarian to what people might think. These high scoring affairs, 66% to the under when the total is set 50 or higher this season. So something to consider. Like now, as far as the side, I don't know about you. We may disagree on this, but as far as the side, I like Miami. I could see myself betting Miami in this game. I got to dig into it a little bit deeper, but on the surface, you've got some decent metrics to back the Dolphins. The Cowboys we talked about it, they're just not a good road team. The Dolphins are a very good home team. So you could say what you want about them beating the teams that are below 500, but they dominate these teams at home. None of the games are close. So when you look at it from that perspective, you can play devil's advocate and say, well, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're beating up on these weaker teams that come in. You're not supposed to play down to your competition. They're not doing that. So I get it from that perspective. This will definitely be the best defense they've played all year. I think they have a game left. I think they have a game with the Ravens before the season's over. But this is going to be the best defense they play so far in the Cowboys defense. So it'll be a really good test. But I could see myself betting to me, this is Dolphins or nothing, in my opinion. I don't know about you. See a look on your face.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. I looked up Dak Prescott as an underdog because that's a rare spot. Like I thought there can't be too many. He's just 15-14 against the spread when he's a dog in his career. So it's just right at 500, right at 50%. But Tua at home is elite. at covering the spread. He's 71% against the spread at home, and you don't have a spread in this game. You can just go money line.
No, you don't. I was about to say. I was like, listen.
So you don't have a spread.
If you're if you're winning this, if you're covering the spread in this game, you're winning the game.
Yeah, and that's 71% ATS at home. They're laying big numbers, 8s and 9s and 10s, because when they're at home, they're favored by a lot of points. So they're having no problem covering these numbers. But Dak, if Dak is going to stay in the MVP conversation, he's got to win a big road game like this one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go against you for the first time in this podcast.
I like it.
And I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here.
Okay.
At the pick'em. I think here's the deal. I don't know how healthy Tyreek is.
Yeah.
And if he's not healthy or if he loses time, like that offense looks much different when Tyreek's on the field than when it's not. Like Jalen Waddle's good, but he's not Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Tyreek sort of opens up so much for the entire running game, passing game. Those running starts, I think, are already starting to be copied across the league. It's insane getting Tyreek Hill on a running start like arena football. It's like, dude's a genius out there. But if he's not healthy, I'm going on this. I'm saying Tyreek Hill is not fully healthy.
Gotcha.
We're going to go Cowboys on this.
You like Cowboys.
Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the league right now. But let's see what happens when the Cowboys start putting that pressure on them. Let's see how accurate he is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Cowboys here.
That is the big angle right there. If they can get pressure on Tua, it's going to be a problem. The other thing is, the other thing that I'll say is, you know who's going to really be watching this game very closely is the Buffalo Bills. Because we bet on the Bills last week, right? And I mentioned on the pod that after they got off to like a weak start, really bad luck metrics, bad turnover differential. Now the defense is healthy. Now they are trending up heavily, dude. So when we look at teams trending up and trending down, this is very key when we go into the playoffs for you guys watching. Because last year we did so well in the playoffs because we once we get to these weeks, 15, 16, we start looking ahead to the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Teams trending up and trending down. So like we have obviously Phillies on the downswing, teams like the Steelers on the downswing. Buffalo is this team that is trending super, super up. If they get in, they're gonna cause a ton of trouble in the AFC. But not only that, they have a path to still win the division. All right, and they have a realistic set of games left. They can easily win out. They get the Chargers this weekend, which is just like a free win. They can easily win out. And the Dolphins have this game with the Cowboys, and they have a game with the Ravens. So Miami could, even though I like Miami in this game, they could easily drop those two games. And suddenly, you don't have the division anymore. And suddenly, Buffalo has a home game in the first round of the playoffs, and no one's going in there and beating them. So I think that this is, like, even though I like Miami in the game, this is a close game to watch for playoff implications. Like this could decide how things shake out over in the AFC. So, think about that too when you're watching. The Bills are going to be looking at this one very closely. So,
yeah, I mean, Tua tied for 5th in the league in interceptions.
How many does he have?
10.
Yeah. How many does Dak have? Does Dak have a bunch of interceptions? Dak's been fine.
I think, let's see, Dak is, where is he on this? I'm scrolling down, sir.
Oh, he's been very good.
I'm going to have to do it.
He's been elite.
I'm going to have to do it. Yeah, 7.
7, okay.
7. So not that
I think my main angles for this is the Cowboys' weak play on the road, the trends obviously that point you to Tua at home, and the last thing being the offense. Like I don't know. I could see them giving them some trouble with that unique offense that they run. And I'm assuming Tyreek Hill plays also. Yeah. Assuming he plays, I like Miami. And
I like the under. If I had to make one bet, I would probably do the under.
I like the under.
If I had to pick a side, I like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I traditionally I have not done well fading you on these picks. So let's see. I think I'm I'm probably 0-4 against the Jeff so far.
Anything get hit. Bro,
we'll see.
These pick'em games are tough to call. So But yeah, give me the Dolphins. You got the Cowboys, and then on next week's
Cowboys
pod,
looking
we will
to go
recap,
1-4 against the Jeff.
and then we'll
AT,
the next week's
ATJ
pod, one of us will have bragging rights next week. Let's
Hell
go.
yeah, fine. Let's
go.
get it.
All right. Next spot. Oh man, this game. We started. We went from Bengals Steelers to a pretty good game to now this is like your game of the year so far. So we got
this is a Super Bowl.
Monday Night Football, the Ravens versus the Niners. And the main question when we were prepping for the show that I had for this was, can't help but ask if the spread is just a little too high. Like, are the Ravens being disrespected here by the books, making them a 5.5-point underdog on the road? Man, I know Brock Purdy and the Niners have been really, really good at home, nearly unbeatable, right? But like, wow, it's like, what do you assign home field, right? We talk about it all the time, 1.5 points in the NFL, maybe. You want to say the Niners have a stronger home field than most teams. You want to give them 1.75, 2, whatever. Once you adjust, are they that much better on a neutral field than the Ravens? The odds makers seem to suggest that they are. But I don't know. I got a hard time with this one. I kind of, at first glance, I'm leaning Baltimore, but I wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, by the way, I think there's a lot of parity across the NFL this year, and there's a lot of close divisional races, because even when I look at the Ravens schedule, do any of these seem impressive to you? Any of these wins? Texans, week 1. Bengals, week 2, with a hobbled Joe Burrow. Colts went over the Browns 28-3, impressive. Steelers, Titans, they beat up the Lions. Cardinals, Seahawks, Browns, Bengals, Chargers, Rams. Like,
yeah,
do any of these seem super impressive outside of the Lions thing? When I've already seen somebody else blow out the Lions before,
yeah.
like,
yeah. No,
how
I mean,
good are they?
It's not like they're just running through the gauntlet or anything like that, but they do play in a tough division. Like they have 2 divisional losses, right? So, and that's because they do play in a tough division. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but we could do this for a lot of teams. I know. The Niners' most impressive win was definitely the win in Philadelphia. I'll say, for the 42-10 or whatever it was. That was their most impressive win. And they
basically derailed Philadelphia's season.
They destroyed. Yeah,
they ruined their confidence. If you see the drop off after that Eagles game,
excuse me. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I'll throw a couple of to counter that. I'll throw a couple of trends at you. Okay, so because remember, we just want to cover the spread. Like if it's a 3-point Ravens loss, then we're happy, right? So over the last 5 years, Lamar as a dog is 19-5 against the spread. That's pretty good. And he's won 8 of those games straight up. The Ravens overall 19-5. When it's Lamar, he's 11-2 ATS as a dog, winning 8 of those. But then on the other side, you do have the combo of Samuel and McCaffrey. This is the key, because a lot of these games, these guys have not both played together, right?
No.
But when they are healthy, yeah, the Niners are 19-2 straight up when Debo and McCaffrey play.
Scary.
Insane.
Scary.
Good. And
Debo,
Purdy has
McCaffrey, and Ayuk.
Oh, insane. And like you just like forget about Kittle, right? Like he's just like thrown to the side. He's like one of the best tight ends in the league. It's like, they got Kittle too. Yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing collection of weapons. And Purdy's been really good at home. He's 8-3 against the spread. So the individual team data is really strong on the Niners. The spot is always what I'm trying to find. Is there anything in the spot? So the only thing that I could find, which I'll give to our viewers here, is these are 2 teams that have been beating up on their competition, right? So when you have 2 teams meeting late in the season and they've each beaten their opponents by an average of 7 or more points. Basically, they've beaten on average teams by more than a touchdown. So these games are not particularly close. When those teams meet, the dog is 56% against the spread with a pretty decent sample size, 116 wins, 91 losses. So that will point you to the Ravens. And then when you filter that out to later in the season, so November or later, It goes up to 59%, so 72 and 50 against the spread. So that will tell you the Ravens could have some value on their side. I just think, like, as handicappers, right? When I look at this game just like gives me the feeling of like more than 3 is too much on either side.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Niners go to Baltimore, more than a field goal is too much. The Ravens would be, well, actually this line says maybe they'll be close to a pick 'em, may not even be favored, but I think more than a field goal on either side is too much. And I could see the, the Ravens offense still doing some stuff here.
Well, it's a good point that you make about the Ravens offense. I think it's going to come down to who can handle the pressure better. Is it Brock Purdy or is it Lamar Jackson? The Ravens, 50 sacks on the season, number 1 in the league.
Amazing.
49ers, they're 6th with 43 sacks, right?
Really good.
Ravens, 11 interceptions, 49ers leading the league.
Yeah.
With 19 takeaways there. So who do you trust more in the driver's seat in this? Do you trust Brock Purdy with all of his weapons, or do you trust Lamar Jackson? As an individual player, I trust Lamar Jackson.
Same.
We've seen Brock Purdy falter in some big spots this season. Yeah. But did he do it with Debo out there? Did he do it with McCaffrey out there at the same time? When those 3 players, or Ayuk, Debo, and McCaffrey, are out there, Brock Purdy is a whole different guy. It's like, I think I can go out there. I might oil up the arm a little bit. I think I could put up some plus stats on that team. If I could see over the line, I might have a little problem. Russell Wilson problem, but
weapons are wild. I mean, it's gonna. Here's how I look at this. I think it's gonna come down to, because I think the Ravens defense is very good. Yes. Purdy is the less mobile, right, guy, and I think it's going to come down to can they consistently get pressure on him. If they can consistently get pressure on him, he's going to have trouble standing in the pocket and completing those throws. Lamar on the other side is more of a mixed bag, because it's like even if they get the pressure, he's so good at getting away.
I know
the offensive line could have plays where they just completely break down, and it almost a lot of the times does not matter. So the Niners are going to have to really figure out a way to contain. You don't just want to, when you have somebody like that, it sounds counterintuitive, but you just don't want to go full board of the quarterback. You have to almost in between it. You got to get pressure, but you also got to be ready for him to get out quick and maybe have someone spying. You got to have something going on there. But I think that dynamic of him being able to make those huge plays, it gives them another element. I mean, we don't really see that from Purdy. He's more of a pocket passer. He can throw on the run, but you're not going to see him, juke guys out of their cleats and run for these huge plays.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I would go with you. Are you seeing the value here on +5?
Yeah, +5, 5.5. I think I like the Ravens in that spot. Yeah, is that 47 right? The total. I think that's right. I think if that drops a little bit more, you might even have some value on the over. But I think it's right at 47, me personally.
Yeah, I like that. I would go with this is like a heat check. This is like a Super Bowl check. So you take the +5 on the Ravens. You say, if the Ravens can't get pressure on Brock Purdy and he lights up the Ravens, then a healthy 49ers team is pretty much your Super Bowl favorite. If they can,
absolutely.
If they can scheme that out and get McCaffrey out into the flat or run some screenplays to take some pressure off that Ravens front seven, oh boy, I think everybody's kind of fucked. It's so But this is the heat check. If the Ravens can generate pressure and make I'm dating myself, but I remember during that undefeated season with the Patriots, the Ravens got pressure up the middle on Tom Brady, and they almost beat him in the regular season. They were like the only team to get close to beating them because they were able to scheme up pressure on them. Yeah. So, this is a heat check. I think if they can scheme up pressure, this is going to be a really close game. So I take the Ravens at +5.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a field goal game. That's really what I think it is. And by the way, if it is a field goal game, who has the edge there? Baltimore has a huge edge at kicker. You got a rookie kicking on the other side. And even though he's been good, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen when the time comes with a rookie. Mm-hmm. But what's going to happen if Justin Tucker's got to win the game. You know what's happening. So I like that as well, having that in the back pocket. But yeah, I think just the line's just a little bit too high. And this, like I know some people will can overthink lines like this. They'll say, well, why is it 5? It's begging you to take the Ravens. But if you play that kind of line psychology with every game, it's not going to be fruitful long term. It can work in certain spots, but playing the value and playing the key numbers long term is going to work way more than that kind of line psychology aspect of it. It's a good thing to keep in the back pocket, but it doesn't apply to every game.
Brock Purdy, second most accurate quarterback,
second behind Tua. No, he's been great, dude.
Yeah.
He's going to win MVP. Yeah. They win this game, he's essentially got the MVP locked up. He's been really, really good. I'm astonished at how good he is. Like I didn't watch him much at Iowa State, but
Oh, really? You didn't happen to
not much
get a lot of Brock Purdy film in college?
Not much. The Jets could have reunited him with Brees because they both went to Iowa State, but and we had other plans, but
maybe we should just stop the podcast here. I don't want to.
All right, so Ravens there. So we're gonna do pocket change parlays, but just to recap, we like the Steelers +2 as a lean. Bruce is liking the Cowboys at a pick, and I'm liking the Dolphins at a pick. So we're 1v1 there. And then we're both leading Ravens +5 on Monday Night Football for your game of the week. So now, Bruce, my pocket change parlay, where did it go? I had it. So, did you get to cook one up? I cooked one up for this week since we skipped last week.
Right. No. I'm cooking one up right here.
Okay, cool.
Right now.
All right, so I'll start with mine. My pocket change parlay of the week is 2 legs. So we're going to start off with game we talked about earlier. I'm going to take the Dolphins on the money line, -110. It's a pick'em game, so you don't have to worry about the spread. But I like the spot for Miami, 2 at home, and the Cowboys on the road. And I think it could potentially, we didn't mention this earlier, but I think it could potentially be a statement game for Miami. Kind of like, you think you can't beat anybody? Well, here you go. And then they'll go on the road in the playoffs and get smoked by somebody. So give me the Dolphins -110. The second leg that I'm going to throw out is a game we did not get to talk about, but a favorable spot on the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of a weird game. Colts at Falcons. 2 teams, yes, still fighting for a playoff spot, so there's a lot on the line here. The Falcons are -120 on the money line at home, and they've just been they're coming off of the loss, right, at the Panthers, so you couldn't be more down on them right now after losing to the worst team in the league by far. But now they go back home. They've been so much better at home inside of a dome, and they just lost that game to the Bucs at home. So I like the spot for them to bounce back there because they've been a good home team. And the Colts have been flying a little bit high here with a lot of turnover luck. I think they've got some regression looming for them. So give me the Falcons at home. So when you combine the Falcons and the Dolphins, that's +250, pocket change parlay. Remember, these are small. Just 2 legs for me this week because I actually want to hit it. Whenever I do 3 legs, we lose on the last leg. So Falcons, Dolphins +250.
It's really funny, Jeff, because you can only win one of our pocket change parlays this week because I'm going opposite of you.
So one of us should win.
Colts Falcons game.
Oh, on both.
So So my pocket change parlay is I'm going the Colts money line on this one.
Gotcha.
I think I do agree that you can look at the Falcons in a bounce back spot, but I, as a astute follower of Bijan Robinson on the year, think that internally they are falling apart. I think they're going to go back to Taylor Heineke this week, right? So they're doing yet another. Yeah, they're doing another quarterback change, I think. So I think at this point, the room is starting to lose faith in their head coach, right?
Yeah.
I think they're going back and forth too much. It sort of feels there's a lot of parallels to the Jets where they keep changing quarterbacks and the team just kind of starts giving up on we don't really have a leader in the QB room. We don't really have a leader on the sideline. So I'm going with the Colts. I think this is going to be the nail in the coffin for the Falcons this week.
Mania.
Yep. And I'm going to go with Minshew Mania.
Gotcha.
Then after that, I'm going to go Washington Commanders money line.
I like
plus
that.
136.
I like that.
I don't think that there's a worse team in the league right now than the Jets. whether it's Zach Wilson, whether it's Trevor Siemian, like it's a mess. So I think the Commanders are going to take this one, and there's just a lot of like, how are you going to give the Jets minus 162 on the money line after what? It's crazy. It's absolutely bananas. And then I'm going to do the Chiefs minus 10.
Ooh, okay. Throwing a spread in there.
Yeah, I think they're gonna pulverize the Raiders this week.
This is a huge bounce for. They need this game badly.
And then the Raiders come in on the other side.
Yeah,
just dropped like 100 million points.
Yeah,
like
good point. They fade that offense. Yeah, 63.
You got fade that offense. Yeah. You got Pat Mahomes coming in pissed. So. Yeah, let's see. I think they cover, and I think they make a statement. They have to in this divisional game. They have to.
And don't forget that's actually a pretty good one because the Broncos get the Patriots this week. Should be an easy win for them. So if you're the Chiefs, you got to lock this one up before they catch you.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to lock it up. So when you do Chiefs minus 10, Commanders money line, Colts money line, you get a plus 792 3-legger.
Ooh. Beautiful. All right. So one of us should hit, hopefully. Hopefully one of us hits. All right.
Watch.
Cool. So
Watch. I'm going to win. You're going to win the Falcons one, but you're going to lose one of the other ones.
Right. And then everything else is going to hit. Yeah.
That's how it goes. And neither of us are going to win.
That's why these are for fun at the end of the show. Pocket change at the end of the show. Like, when everyone's like, all right, we'll get the real bets out the way. Now let's have a little bit of fun. So
exactly, man.
Sweet. All right. So we covered 3 games now, and the parlays. We're all set to go. So is the UFC's back next week, correct?
No. UFC is back mid-January. So
New Year.
We got like 2 or 3, but we may do a couple sprinkled in case you want to get some early bets. I know it's not super sexy. People kind of want action when it's about to happen. Yeah. But there may be some good lines that you can snipe.
Cool.
Before things get hot, right? So we may bring a few in the next couple weeks.
All right, sweet. Well, we're still going to have NFL, and then the bowl games are starting to get pretty good. So we'll discuss some bowl games, and then we've been killing NBA, so we'll start putting some NBA stuff on here. Start talking about the NBA is going to get much more interesting, specifically after the All-Star break. So around that time we'll start sprinkling in some hoops. But that's it for this week's episode, man. And next week we should be back in person, hopefully, if we had everything finalized here. And then we'll get back in touch and keep it going.
New studio, all wood everything studio.
Yeah, real tough and gruff.
Feeling cedar. Is that tough and gruff? Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week. Good luck. Peace out.
See ya.